At 38, Sarah found herself tangled in a web of persistent ailments that dimmed her vitality, eroded her self-assurance, and cast shadows over her hopes for tomorrow. Over the past year, she'd consulted a skin specialist for stubborn breakouts, a digestive expert for the constant discomfort after eating, a therapist for waves of unease and melancholy, and a family doctor for nights that refused to bring rest. Alongside her partner, she'd been chasing the dream of parenthood for 3 years, only to face repeated disappointment, prompting frequent check-ins with a reproductive health expert for her hormonal imbalances tied to ovarian challenges. She stood on the brink of a costly fertility treatment journey. Sarah was among the earliest visitors to a wellness clinic born from years of medical exploration, a space where people sought clarity after conventional paths fell short. She arrived with a blend of hope and hesitation, settling into a cozy nook surrounded by vibrant greenery, a setting crafted to feel like a tranquil retreat rather than a sterile exam room. The clinic's philosophy, highlighted online, promised to unearth the hidden origins of unwellness rather than merely quieting surface troubles, resonating with a quiet instinct she couldn't ignore. By all standard measures, Sarah mirrored countless others. She carried no dire life-ending diagnosis, nor was she teetering on the edge of a hospital stay. Yet she felt far from her best, though wasn't that just the norm? Statistics reveal that over 1 in 5 women rely on mood-stabilizing medications, while nearly a quarter grapple with ovarian imbalances. Her struggles felt so widespread that she'd long labeled herself fine. Still, a persistent whisper suggested there was more to life, vibrancy, peace, and strength she hadn't yet tapped. In a 2-hour deep dive, the layers of Sarah's story began to unfold. Exhaustion, skin flare-ups, stomach woes, emotional lows, sleeplessness, and fertility hurdles had always seemed like scattered puzzle pieces to her and her specialists. Noticing her quiet frustration, the approach shifted. Instead of seeing these as separate storms, they were reframed as ripples from a single pond. The task became identifying the stone causing the waves and finding a way to still the waters. In a typical medical visit, Sarah might have breezed through with a claim of eating well and resting enough, ending the discussion there. But this time, the inquiry dug deeper, revealing subtle cracks. Rest. Her partner's late-night habits and a restless pup often jolted her awake, fragmenting her sleep. Nourishment. Her plate leaned heavily on quick processed bites. Think packaged snacks, sugary drinks, and carb-heavy meals lacking depth. Motion. She enjoyed occasional dance classes and nature strolls, but daily life was glued to a chair with little muscle-building effort. Pressure. A recent move left her isolated, while her role as a graphic designer, paired with family worries and conception struggles, brewed constant tension. Environment. Tap water ran unfiltered, delivering a steady stream of unseen pollutants. Her soaps and cleaners harbored harsh chemicals, and a glass of wine was a frequent companion. Light. Hours bathed in screen glow, work by day, streaming by night, left her circadian rhythm askew with scant time under the sun. A roadmap emerged, food as a healing force, sleep as a cornerstone, stress as a foe to tame, gut health as a shield, toxins as a burden to lift, and daylight as a reset. Within 6 months, the transformation was striking. Cycles stabilized, discomfort eased, spirits soared, and digestion found harmony. Medications faded away, and with hormones realigning, she paused the fertility clinic's call. Beyond feeling. Lighter and more alive now, she'd also fortified herself against future shadows. This kind of renewal echoes across many who embrace steady, intentional shifts. At its heart lie three universal insights. Most lingering troubles, physical or mental, stem from a shared root, cells faltering under strain, often termed energy drift. Symptoms don't sprout from nothing. They signal cellular unrest, frequently tied to metabolism gone awry. Energy drift fuels a range of struggles, from subtle, think fatigue, joint aches, or mood dips, to severe, like heart failure or tumors. Today's quiet complaints are tomorrow's loud alarms if ignored. To grasp how these minor and major woes intertwine, consider a tale of roots and legacies. A thriving beginning. When Elena prepared for motherhood in the late 1970s, she followed the era's playbook. Heaps of grains, pasta, rolls, cereal, praised as fuel with fats shunned as foes. Protein lingered in the margins, overshadowed by a towering food guide. Vegetables rarely graced her table, save for the occasional roasted pepper. Raised on convenience, she leaned on drive-through meals in her urban youth, moved little beyond city walks, and burned the midnight oil. She smoked through her 20s, pausing only for pregnancy. Beneath the surface, her body's energy engine sputtered. A quiet discord passed to her child in the womb. A hefty newborn, 10 pounds at birth, didn't emerge by chance. Such beginnings often sow seeds for later metabolic tangles, raising risks for both parent and offspring, like sugar imbalances or excess weight. This unfolds through sugar overload. A fetus bathed in high glucose can emerge wired for resistance, a trait that lingers into adulthood. Fat foundations. Early exposure to maternal fats can multiply and swell a child's fat cells, priming them for future heft. Silent fire. Inflammation in the womb can spark a lifelong simmer, stoking metabolic embers. A surgical delivery, necessitated by size, bypassed the microbial handoff of birth, and breastfeeding faltered amid recovery's limits, her bundle tipping scales beyond lifting constraints. Formula took over, missing the microbial magic of mother's milk. Childhood brought homemade warmth, but also a parade of sugary cereals, salty crisps, and frosted treats. Energy drift surfaced fast. Ear infections and throat woes sent Elena racing to clinics, antibiotics in tow. Those early battles hinted at an immune system adrift, tied to a gut thrown off balance by birth, feeding, and medicines. By age 12, the child carried 190 pounds, alongside unease, cycle pain, skin rebellions, and throat flare-ups, dismissed as typical growing pains. Doctors nodded, all good. Yet these weren't rites of passage. They were flares of a body in quiet chaos. At 15, a spark ignited. A summer of home-cooked meals, gym treks, and sweat to pulsing tunes shed the weight and dulled the symptoms. Unknowingly, this reset likely calmed the inner storm of sugar resistance and inflammation brewed since birth. Athleticism and kitchen mastery held the line through the teens. Expected struggles in the prime years a decade later, at 27, a new healer stepped into a hospital's relentless grind. Endless beeps, glaring lights, and snatched, sleep-marked residency. Cafeteria trays overflowed with processed fare, motion stalled, caffeine surged, and sunlight vanished. Energy drift roared back, unfurling a cascade. Gut rebellion. A digestive system in disarray churned out distress, Bloating and urgency ruled for months, a sign of cells too weary to work. Skin uprising. Cysts erupted, a mirror to hormones skewed by sugar's sway. Mind fog. A heavy sadness settled, creativity dimmed, and exhaustion whispered escape. Metabolism's toll on a brain starved of power. Aches unseen. Neck stiffness crept in, less from posture than from cellular wear. Head pressures. Sinus clogs and migraines joined the fray, inflammation's quiet allies. Each thread wove back to energy drift, mitochondria faltering, inflammation rising, sugar spiking. The gut-brain dance faltered, serotonin waned, and immunity frayed. These weren't mere woes, they were a body crying for recalibration. Beyond the prime, a looming tide as decades roll on, loved ones increasingly face formidable foes. Heart strain, memories fade, joint decay, breaths labor. These titans of unwellness share a lineage with energy drift. Vessel breach. High sugar doubles strokes shadow, clogging life's rivers. Mind's eclipse. Dementia, dubbed brain diabetes, thrives where energy starves, doubling. In reach by mid-century. Heart's burden. Plaques choke flow, a dance of inflammation and sugar, claiming countless lives yearly. Lungs struggle. Breath falters as toxins and sugar weigh on cellular vigor. Frames creak. Joints groan under inflammation's load, not just time's wear, even a global scourge like a viral storm, struck hardest where energy drifted most. Those with silent metabolic cracks faced graver tolls, a truth buried beneath headlines. The cost of overlooking whispers youth, accepts weight, mood dips, or fatigue as life's tolls, mere ripples. Yet these are the tide's first signs, invitations to probe deeper. Left unchecked, energy drift swells into breakers, heart failure, cancers, collapse. Countless stories, from clinic chairs to family calls, reveal a pattern. Those facing steep battles often saw flickers years prior. Medicine silos these as co-travelers, shrugging at their dance. But they're not strangers. They're kin rooted in cellular strain, mitochondria dimmed, inflammation stoked, oxidation rampant. The path forward isn't lost. Cells renew ceaselessly, primed for restoration. From 8 to 80, vitality can return through nourishment. As medicine, rest as renewal, motion as strength, and environments cleansed of chaos. The power lies in seeing the whole, not the fragments, and acting before the tide rises too high.